Let's go back to our Abuja studio where Dr. Abati is standing by. Dr. Abati, you've heard Mr. Ebun Adegorowa's comment about some of your responses on the questions that I posed earlier on. What are your takes on his standpoints?
Well, I mean, I see that Ebun Adegorowa is just throwing tantrums and is speaking clearly out of complete ignorance. In fact, I should be the one wondering whether he is living in this country at all. Because, you know, to do an objective analysis, you must have information and you must have some knowledge. And what I've been trying to do is to provide for people like him, you know, relevant information. I consider it most unfair for him to just sit down there and just be, you know, parroting clearly uninformed details. Now, he talks about the fuel subsidy scam. Now, I think President Jonathan should even be given credit for what he did last year, because precisely the whole idea of the deregulation of the downstream sector was to address the corruption in that downstream sector, the corruption involved in the payment of fuel subsidies. And that became an issue, but that issue, you know, was addressed by this administration, and it led to the Ministry of Finance reorganizing the payment process, you know, for fuel subsidies. And you recall that that became a major issue with even the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy alleging that, you know, marketers and importers were coming after her, okay, and that she had become a target of blackmail and assassination threats. If Ebun Adegorowa was living in this country, he should know that. In fact, he was trying too hard to say that I was contradicting myself. There's no contradiction. I spoke with relation to rail transportation, and I said that haulage, you know, of goods is something that is now taking place, you know, because of what government has done on rails. And those, you know, many companies like Lafarge, and you can double check this, you know, they transport their cement using rail transportation. The same rail lines that were comatose before this administration took over. And today, in terms of what has been done with cement, Nigeria is a net exporter of cement. Look at the agricultural sector. The gentleman who says the government has done nothing. Agriculture used to be a center of corruption in this country. Fertilizer scam, seeds and other input scam was the order of the day, because that sector was dominated by a lot of middlemen. This administration has transformed the agricultural sector to the extent that today, you know, inputs go directly to farmers. For the first time in the history of this country, we have a farmers database, okay? And we also have in that ministry a minister that has been internationally recognized. Ebun Adegorowa cannot say that he's not aware. Forbes, additional, Nigeria's Minister of Agriculture, appointed by President Jonathan as the person of the year in Africa. He probably is also ignorant about that. Now, talking about electricity, when President Jonathan took over,
let me come in here. Dr. Abati. I'd like to say that we need to observe some decorum in we are talking about issues, not on personalities, so that we don't use abusive language on the program. We're looking at issues, and I would like us to see on it instead of
because you can't just come on television.
Let me quickly say this. Dr. Abati, just a moment. Let me say this before I come back to Mr. Ebun Adegorowa. Mr. Ebun Adegorowa talked about the issue of corruption. When the president came up this year, he talked about corruption, and he says his administration believes that the cost of governance in the country is still too high and must be further reduced. We also take additional steps to stem the tide of corruption and leakages. And it appears that there is a contradiction in that particular statement, considering the fact that one of the apparatus to fight corruption in Nigeria, the EFCC, said late last year that he had about ₦1 million in its account, that it is broke. How then do we think we can fight corruption if such apparatus like EFCC says they're broke?
Well, but the same EFCC has also said that he's been able to secure a lot of convictions. And if you check the papers very well, you also see that the same EFCC has been working very hard. So, the contradiction seems to be a very popular phrase this evening. But to deal with the first part of your statement, now, when President Jonathan said that the cost of, of governance is still too high, he is restating his commitment to make sure that, government continues to reduce cost. And one of the areas in which that has been done, for example, in 2013, is to introduce one biometric verification and then an integrated payroll and personal information system, what is called IPIS, and then an integrated financial management system. The way that works, I think I pointed this out in one interview yesterday, is that, look, in this country, it used to be the fashion that the payroll was dominated by ghosts. But what has been done now is to check that, to make sure that people are not paid, for a job that they have not done, and that leakage, that wastage that occurs through the introduction of non-existent persons onto the payroll is checked, is eliminated. Now, in terms of the cases that are in court, in fact, after all the investigations that took place last year, cases were taken to court. As we speak, persons involved in subsidy scam, they are having their day in court. But it is not in the place of the executive to dictate processes to the judiciary. Due process must be followed.
All right. Let me allow Mr. Adegorowa to come in now. He just mentioned on a particular sector where you, that's your base, that's your sector. What is the state of things? Do you think corruption has been tackled really head on in the year 2030? And based on President Jonathan's message that is going to tackle the excesses in corruption, issue of corruption and leakages, what are your views on this?
Please, my view is the same as that of the fourth person in this government in terms of relevance, Honorable Aminu Tambuwa, the Right Honorable Speaker of the House of Representatives. He said the body language of the president speaks corruption. It's in the bedroom, it's in Aso Rock, it's in the ESCO meeting, it's in the House of Ministers. A Minister of Aviation in this country bought 2 cars for 225 million naira, and she's still in power, dictating, ruling all the airports and giving dictates to people who are corrupt. And the president has not done anything about that. And the fuel subsidy that Dr. Abati was talking about was paid in 2011 and 2012 under the nose of this president. The money is yet to be recovered. Nothing is being done to take back the huge amount of money that was siphoned in the name of fuel subsidy from those who collected the money. And I'm glad that Dr. Abati was here so many times before he joined this train now, before he went to the other side, because he has been abusing me and insulting me that I was parroting. And he used to come here, parroting here, and parroting at the editorial board of The Guardian about this particular regime so many times before now. I'm glad about that. Yeah, I would like us to I'm glad that using abusive language. Now, talking about corruption trials, there is no single trial of any public officer that is going on now that is nearing completion. All that is being done is newspaper publications. It's just blowing hype. Those trials are being frustrated by lack of fund. The EFCC cannot pay lawyers. The witnesses cannot be properly doctored. Investigation is not going on. Once those trials get to the stage of giving evidence, they are bungled.